Oh, hello everyone. It is Brian from Strigler Photography. So, as always, things don't go exactly as planned. One, for some reason, my camera and my computer is not functioning, and I'm at my house, so I don't have any other type of camera to use at this point. But that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with this. I've also got two children and a dog running around, so at any point there could be screaming or crying or any mixture of things going. So we are just going to push on through and see what happens and see if I can kind of make it through this without any crazy things going on. All right, so anyway, this is another kind of how I got the shot. So I always like telling kind of the details of the shot, but I also like telling the backstory of the photo because sometimes they're more interesting than the actual photo. So this whole wedding was kind of interesting. I was not the main shooter at this wedding. I was actually second shooting for a friend of mine named Philip, who does a lot of video for me, and he I can't remember how last minute it was. It was maybe a week or two out. Anyway, he was like, "Hey man, you want to come second shoot for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love that. It's different. I don't know. I've only maybe second shot for someone like two other times. So this was a new experience. I let him do all the work, and I just kind of went around and got shots that weren't the main shots. Anyway, so I didn't know the couple at all. I had no idea what was going on. I just showed up planning to shoot. And so it amazes me still how small this world is and how interconnected it seems like in the wedding world. I tell people this all the time. At every wedding, there's some weird connection I find. So I show up to this wedding to second shoot, and I'm there with Philip, and all of a sudden I see the groom, and it takes me a minute, and it turns out I know the groom, William. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. What's the chance of me being at your wedding when you didn't even hire me? And I knew him back from when he was in high school. When I was in college and I was helping coach at Fayetteville High School, he was one of the players, and he's an awesome kid. I always liked being around him. So I was so pumped at that point. I mean, I went from it being just a random wedding to a wedding of a guy I knew from when he was in high school, and I hadn't seen him probably 15 years or something. So all of a sudden, I mean, I always love weddings, of course, but this was just really special for me. So the day went on. It was really awesome and everything. And it got towards the end of the night, and one of the things he was passing out to all of his guests were these cigars. And I've always seen these cigar photos, and I've always wanted to do something with smoking, just because the smoke kind of makes a cool look when you put light through it. And so it was getting towards the end of the night, and I was like, hey man, if we have time later, you want to do this cigar shot? I think it can look really cool. And he's like, yeah, man, whatever. So the night goes on, and it starts getting towards the end of the night, and I'm like, hey, let's do it. And all the cigars were gone. Like, all of them had been taken by the guests, which was kind of his intention, but they were all gone. And so we had to go borrow a cigar from some random person and for him to use it on this. And so we went outside, and I was looking around for an interesting background. So the first thing I noticed was the string of lights kind of in the background. And I didn't want the background to be completely plain, so I used the string of lights kind of to lead. And so as far as the technical setup for this is two lights with grids on them, and the grids keep the light from like going everywhere. And I tried out a few different setups of where the lights would be. I think I put one on the back and one on the front of him, and that looked pretty cool, but it wasn't quite as dramatic as what I was going for. So the final setup for this shot, there's a flash on each side of him. So one on the left, one on the right, and they're both just pointed towards him. And the flashes are backed up behind him a little bit. And the further you back them up, the more shadow that's going to be here on the face. because when you're moving it behind him, the light's not going to get to the face. So if I wanted to light more of his face, I could have moved the flashes forward more, and then it would have lit him. I kind of like the mysterious darkness. I mean, some people said they want to see his face more. I don't know. I kind of like the dark moodiness of this. So I'm kind of happy where the lights ended up being. I really even enjoyed kind of the smoke and the color of it, and the whiskey, I believe, in his hand adds to it all. So I really loved getting to create this because, like I said, it was just a fun photo, but also it's someone that I know, and I think he's a really cool guy. He's actually kind of a big deal chef around here. So if you're into that kind of scene, you need to look him up, William McCormick. Anyway, so that's kind of how I got this shot. I loved that I knew him. It was such a great surprise, and I really think this turned out to be a cool photo. So anyway, what is today? Thursday. So I hope you guys have a fun Friday. Hopefully you don't have to work too hard, and I hope you have a super weekend. Thanks.